If you have ever opened a drawer and found your good tools wearing a skin of rust, or lifted the lid on a keepsake box and caught that faint sour smell of damp paper, or pulled out seed packets you meant to save and found them soft as old bread, then you know the feeling I mean. A thing was sound when you put it away. You did not abuse it. You did not neglect it on purpose. You simply trusted the house to keep what mattered. Then a little hidden damp got there first, and the damage was done so quietly you never saw the very hour it happened. Most folks call that bad luck, and go spend money replacing what should have lasted. I will tell you plainly, a good many things in a home are being spoiled not by age, not by hard use, but by a little moisture nobody bothered to reckon with, and you are about to give up on the best thing you will ever have, for want of something nobody taught you. My name is Elias Yoder. My people came over from the Palatinate in 1838 and settled on the same Lancaster County ground where Esther and I are still living now. I was raised among folks who did not waste much because they could not afford to, and after a while they came to see that thrift is not only about money, it is about respect. My grandfather saved bent nails in a coffee can and sharpened a hoe till there was hardly any hoe left. And my mother could keep dry goods, letters, quilts, and family photographs sound for years, because she understood what dampness does before rot ever shows its face. What I am speaking on today is not a grand machine or a secret tonic. It is one of those little packets folks throw away without a second thought, though it can preserve more of the home than many a costly thing ever will. Now here is the part almost everyone has backward. Most people think silica gel is meant to dry out a wet object after the trouble has already started. That is not the true use of it. Its real value is smaller and greater at the same time. It guards the air around a thing before that air can do its harm. That changes everything, because rust, mildew, musty smell, stale papers, clumped seed, dull silver, and sticky drawers do not begin inside the object. They begin in the little pocket of moist air surrounding it. Silica gel is not a rag. It is not a sponge in the common sense. It does not mop up a puddle from the floor. It quietly absorbs moisture from the air in a closed space. I use that word on purpose. It is not soaking water deep inside like a bath towel. It is holding moisture on its vast porous surface. And that is why a small packet can do more than its size would have you believe. The old mistake is waiting until something feels wet or smells off. By then, you are late. The wiser course is to keep the small space around what you value dry enough that trouble never gets a foothold. Quick word before I go further. The old methods my family uses, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book at eliasyoder.com. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. So let us start where a sensible person starts. With what silica gel actually is. It is a drying agent, a desiccant, made from a form of silica. And it is commonly packed in little paper or cloth packets and tucked into pill bottles, shoes, leather goods, tool cases, camera boxes, and all manner of shipped goods, because manufacturers know damp is the thief you seldom see. The plain white or clear kind is generally not poisonous, though those packets still say do not eat. And that warning ought to be obeyed, because a packet can be a choking hazard, and because some indicating types use color chemicals you do not want in the wrong place. So the first rule is simple. Keep silica gel away from children, away from pets, away from mouths, and away from loose food. That is not fear talking. That is orderly housekeeping. A thing can be useful and still belong in the right place. The first step is to gather it carefully and sort it with a little judgment. When you open a new bottle of vitamins, a pair of shoes, a small electronic device, a camera accessory, a leather wallet, or a jar that came with a desiccant packet inside, do not crumple that packet and toss it out by habit. Set it aside in a dry jar with a lid. I keep such a jar on a shelf in the workroom. But do not keep every packet blindly. If the packet is torn, leaking beads, stained with grease, or smells of perfume, glue, chemicals, or shoe treatment, throw it away. The reason is plain. A broken packet cannot be trusted not to spill. And anything strong smelling can pass that smell into whatever you are trying to protect. If a packet is blue or an odd indicator color, and you do not know what chemistry it uses, I keep those for tools and hardware only. Never near papers, cloth, or anything that may touch skin for long. That is a cautious old habit, and there is no shame in caution. The second step is to understand where silica gel actually helps. So you do not ask a teaspoon to do the work of a rain barrel. Silica gel works best in a small enclosed space. A tackle box, a sewing tin, a drawer, a toolbox, a jar of saved seeds, a box of family letters, a gun safe, if you keep one, and know how to handle such things properly, a cabinet of camera lenses, or important paper. Even a storage tote with holiday ornaments or hand tools. It does not dry a whole basement. It does not cure a leaking roof. It does not fix a bathroom with no ventilation. If you drop a few packets in the corner of a damp room and expect the whole room to become sweet and dry, you will say the old way failed you. When in truth, you asked it to do the wrong job. The reason I am emphasizing this is because disappointment often comes from using the right thing in the wrong scale. The third step is to pair the packet to the item and the space. For seed packets, saved beans, or flower seed you want to keep dry for planting. Place the seed envelopes inside a jar or tight tin, and set a silica gel packet beside them. Not torn open, not mixed in, just resting there dry and intact. That keeps the air in the jar from carrying too much moisture, which helps seeds stay firmer and less likely to mildew. I will not promise you exact germination by the calendar, because a man who promises you a miracle by the calendar is selling something. Seed age, seed type, and storage temperature all matter. But I will tell you this plainly. Dry, steady storage gives seed a fairer chance than a damp shelf ever will. For tools and spare razor blades, tuck a packet into the drawer or box where the metal lives. The reason is simple. Rust needs moisture in the air, and you are lowering what rust can work with. For papers, photographs, receipts, family records, and old letters. Place the papers in an acid-safe folder or envelope if you have one. Then keep them in a lidded box with one or two packets nearby. The packet is not touching the memory. It is guarding the air around it. That matters more than folks think. The fourth step is to close the space properly. This sounds too simple, but many people miss it. If the container does not shut well, the packet is fighting the whole house instead of a little pocket of air. Then it tires quickly and does less good. A good lid, a drawer that meets square, a tin that closes firm, or a storage tote with a gasket makes the packet far more useful because you are limiting the fresh damp air that keeps wandering in. Think of it like trying to warm a room with the window open. It is not that the stove has no value. It is that the opening never lets the work hold. The same is true here. Silica gel is most useful where the space is modest and the exchange of air is limited. The fifth step is to use enough, but not to go foolish with it. People often underdo or overdo it for the same reason. They never stop to picture the space they are protecting. A small pill bottle needs very little. A wide storage tote needs more. A deep tool chest with many drawers may do better with a packet in each drawer than a fistful all in one corner. Spread the help where the air is because that is where the work is done. But do not think a mountain of packets will cure every condition. If the item goes into storage or if the lid is loose, more packets may delay trouble, but will not conquer it. This is why my mother always said, dry first, then store. If a box, cloth or tool is already damp to the touch, let it dry in open air first in a safe place. Because silica gel is for maintaining dryness, not rescuing carelessness after the fact. The sixth step is to check and rotate. Do not make the mistake of putting packets away and forgetting them for 5 years, as though they were blessed from heaven never to fill up. They do a real job, and that means they can become spent. Some packets have indicator beads or markings that show when they have taken on moisture. Others give no sign at all. If the space you are protecting is important, check it every so often. In my house, that means with the change of seasons, and especially before the wet months and after them. Open the box. Notice any musty smell. Feel whether metal is cool and dry rather than tacky. And if a packet seems clumped or far past its useful age, replace it. Some silica gel products are sold as reusable and can be re-dried according to the maker's directions. I follow the maker on those and only those. I do not tell folks to toss mystery packets in the oven by guesswork. Because wrappers differ. And guessing is not wisdom. If it is not marked reusable and you are unsure, discard it. And use a fresh one. Silica gel is cheap. A ruined family record, or a drawer full of rust. Now let me tell you the places in a home where this humble thing is most often overlooked. First is the seed box. Because gardeners think about sun and forget storage. Yet a packet in the tin can save you from opening a spring envelope to find softened seed and mildew dust. Second is the tool drawer, especially in a garage or shed, where nights cool down, and damp creeps in by morning. Third is the memory box, where old letters, baptism records, recipe cards, and photographs until somebody opens them years later. Is the silver drawer, or the box of old costume jewelry, because moisture and stale air encourage that dull, sleepy look that makes people think age when damp did half the work. Fifth is the travel bag, or emergency kit, where a little dryness helps keep spare blades in proper containers, and metal clasps, from taking on that sour closed-up feel. I am not promising miracles. I am describing plain prevention, which is slower to notice, and therefore all the more easily forgotten. Let me make it still plainer by walking you through a few common household examples. Because once you can picture the whole matter becomes easy to remember. Suppose you keep old family photographs in a decorative box in a closet on an outside wall. That wall cools and warms with the weather. And the air in the box can take on that change. A small packet in the box helps steady the moisture in that trapped air. So the paper is less likely to curl or smell stale. Or say you have a drawer of spare screws, razor blades, and small hand tools in a garage where summer heat gives way to cool night air. Metal does not need a rainstorm to begin suffering. It only needs enough moisture in the air over enough time to start its slow meal. A packet in that drawer makes the air less favorable to rust. And because the drawer stays shut most of the time, gets a fair chance to do its work. Esther keeps sewing needles and fine scissors and fine biscuit tin in a biscuit tin tucked in the corner for the same reason. Metal is fine metal, whether it hangs in a shop, beside thread, or sits beside thread. One more thing worth understanding is that silica gel is best used as part of good order, instead of it. A clean, dry container matters. A label remembering what is inside. If you toss mixed items together, leave them in a damp place, and hope a packet will redeem confusion. You are asking too much of it. My grandfather used to say that many a ruined thing began in a lazy minute. I believe that. Take 10 extra seconds. Wipe the tool dry. Wipe the tool paper square. Fold the paper seeds finish drying before they go in the jar. Then add the packet. Then the packet helps. Because it supports careful habits. It does not replace them. It does not replace them. That is also why I do not scatter packets everywhere at random. Put them where the loss would matter. Put them where the loss would matter can be managed. And where the air can be managed. A drawer of nails. An open porch bench. An open porch bench. The method works best when purpose and place agree. When purpose and place agree. That is old wisdom in every craft. That is old wisdom. You match the tool to the task. You match the tool to the task. Begins the moment you stop noticing what a thing is actually for. Silica gel is small. Silica gel is small. Faithful things have kept many homes in better order than expensive neglect. Once you see that, you stop tossing help in the trash. You stop tossing help in the trash. Quiet protection and start putting where quiet damage likes to begin. Where quiet damage likes to begin. Year after year. There are also places silica gel is not the answer. Silica gel is not the answer. And you ought to know that. So no one wastes your time. So no one wastes your time. It is not the cure for active mold spreading on walls. Mold in a room usually means a moisture source. Usually means a moisture source must be corrected. And the source must be corrected. It is not the repair for a flooded box of papers. Those need careful drying. Those need careful drying. Professional help. And sometimes because once paper is soaked, because once paper is already underway. The trouble is already underway. It is not a kitchen seasoning. It is not a kitchen seasoning. Not litter for children to play with. Not litter for children to play with. To scatter loose in drawers. Something to scatter loose in drawers. Spill into food tools or medicine. Spill into food tools or medicine. If a packet breaks, clean it up and replace it. Clean it up. And though silica gel is often much better than the old trick of burying a wet phone in rice, I still will not tell a man to trust a packet with expensive electronics after a soaking. Remove what can safely be removed. Remove what can safely be removed. Follow the maker's guidance. Follow the maker's guidance. And if the device matters, old ways are for wisdom. Old ways are for wisdom. The biggest mistakes people make with silica gel, overconfidence, and poor confidence. Impatience, poor timing. Looks like this. Impatience. A fellow notices rust. A fellow notices rust and expects the rust to reverse by next Tuesday. That is not what the packet is for. That is not what the packet is for. More moisture trouble. It prevents more moisture trouble. The clock. It does not turn back the clock. Looks like this. Overconfidence looks like one little packet into a large damp tote in midsummer. Leaves the lid half shut. Leaves the lid half shut. And supposes the job is not magic. The packet needs a reasonable space to govern. It needs a reasonable timing to govern. Looks like this. Poor timing. You wait until the rainy season. You wait until the rainy season. Or the holiday saving is already done in a hurry. Saving is already done in a hurry. And then you remember dryness. And then you remember dryness. Has been sealed in after the object has been sealed in with the object itself. Better to think one quiet step ahead. Better to think one quiet step ahead. Choose the right container. Choose the right container. Close it. Add the packet. Then leave it alone until the proper time to inspect it. Until the proper time to inspect it. And now I will speak on the part people are often shy to say aloud. People are often shy to say aloud. Who profits when nobody teaches this? Who profits when nobody teaches this? The answer is not some shadowy villain in a black coat. The answer is not some shadowy villain in a black marketplace. It is the ordinary marketplace. You buy tools. If your tools rust, if your papers mildew, you buy plastic bins. You buy plastic bins, folders, sprays, and replacement copies if you can find them. And replacement copies if your silver tarnishes. You buy silver tarnishes. If your seed storage fails. If your seed storage fails. If your keepsakes smell musty. If your somebody sells you a deodorizer. Somebody sells you a deodorizer. A man schemed this in a back room. I am not telling you a man schemed this in a back room. It is worse than a conspiracy. It is because it is a system nobody had to coordinate. Because it is a system nobody had to coordinate. Better to sell the expensive failing product to sell the expensive than to teach a man to do it for free. Than to teach a man to do it for plain knowledge disappears. That is why small plain knowledge disappears. There is little money in telling a household. There is little money in telling a household. Close the box well. Packets and spare yourself trouble next season. And spare yourself trouble next season. Built sound homes for generations. Built sound homes. So let me gather the whole matter into a few plain sentences you can carry with you. Silica gel is a moisture absorber for small enclosed spaces, for small and its best work is done before damp damage begins. Save only clean, intact packets. Save only clean, keep them away from children, pets, keep them away from children, unless the packet is meant for that use. Unless the packet is meant for that or mostly sealed spaces like tool drawers, mostly sealed spaces like tool drawers, memory boxes, seed jars, storage totes, memory boxes, and cabinets, storage totes, where damp quietly ruins what matters. Where damp quietly ruins what matters. Do not expect them to fix a wet basement. Do not expect them to fix a wet basement. Or an already soaked object. or an already soaked object. Replace or properly renew the reusable kind. Or properly renew the reusable kind. Preventing damage is cheaper. That preventing damage is cheaper than trying to rescue a thing after neglect. And I would truly like to hear from you on this. And I would truly like to hear from you on a matter like this. Because the comments on a matter like this. Tell me what part of the country you are in. Tell me what part of the country you are most often in your home. And what the damp does most often in your home. Seed packets, is it tools in the shed, family papers, seed packets, silver, family sewing papers, notions, silver, old photographs, sewing notions, or something I did not photographs. Tell me who taught you to save little useful things instead of throwing them out. And tell me what you always thought you were doing wrong with storage. Before you understood the air itself was the trouble. If you keep a garden was the trouble. Tell me what you are saving seed from this year. Tell me what you are saving seed from this year. Tell me what old tool you are trying to preserve. Tell me what old tool you are trying to preserve. And I learned the whole country from these comments. And I learned the whole country from these comments. And if you know one sensible person, and if you know always replacing things that damp quietly spoiled, send this to them, because a real community to them is built one practical kindness at a time. Is built one practical kindness at a time. I want to show you another household thing. I want to show you another household thing, and it has to do with odor, damp, and it has to do with the difference between covering a problem and the difference between covering a problem. A good many homes are paying for scented help. Many homes are paying for scented help, cleaner, when the old fix is far more honest, cleaner, and once you see where the mistake begins, and once you never look at that shelf in the store the same way again, the older I get, the more I believe a home is held together by small understandings, not expensive gadgets, small expensive gadgets, repeated with care, a packet saved from the trash, a packet saved from the trash, a seed kept dry for spring. A seed kept dry for spring. So a grandchild may one day hold the handwriting of someone gone. That is the sort of quiet wisdom the good Lord let ordinary people build a life on. And if we keep passing it hand to hand, then we are keeping company with the people who built this country with their Han.